Greetings, AP scholars. Welcome to another week in AP Language and Composition. You will remember that last week we were focusing our attention on tracking and evaluating the line of reasoning in a piece or a text. We did some practice with a with a TED Talk last week. And we also practiced with the Malala Yousafzai speech at the end of last week. And for both of those things, you completed a graphic organizer to help you track and evaluate the line of reasoning. Today, what we're going to do is we are going to shift our attention from tracking and evaluating the line of reasoning to turning Malala's line of reasoning in her argument into your line of reasoning for your argument that you would be making in a rhetorical analysis essay on the AP exam. So the rhetorical analysis essay is a little bit trippy in that it's sort of a thesis statement within a thesis statement. It's an argument within an argument. And so we have to think about it in that way a little bit. For example, last week I talked to you about the idea that you would need to incorporate Malala's thesis statement, which you came up with last week as part of your graphic organizer, into your thesis statement about how she conveys her message. Because the first step is determining a thesis statement for a message before you can evaluate how someone develops that message, right? So your thesis statement or Malala's thesis statement has to be present in your opening paragraph somewhere for a rhetorical analysis essay about her speech. And in fact, it really should be part of your thesis statement because you are talking about what you see as her argument and how she develops that argument. So today we're going to kind of focus how we can shift the work we've been doing with the line of reasoning into a rhetorical analysis response wherein you develop your own line of reasoning about how she develops her line of reasoning. So this is all a little bit confusing, I think, but you've practiced before, and we're going to use this as practice once again as we kind of break down a rhetorical analysis response this week. So to get you started for today, I have you watching a brief instructional video published by Coach Hall Writes. So you might want to, I said last week that I was going to start putting resources in front of you for how you might want to start prepping for the exam on your own. And she might be someone to check out, or you might want to subscribe to her channel. She's got a lot of wonderful videos about the AP exam and about particular elements or facets to the AP exam. So certainly at the end of this video you're going to watch today, you might want to subscribe or just kind of check out another few of her videos along the way. In this video, it's kind of a nice mix of review of what we've been talking about. She's going to say some of the same things that you've heard me say, but also she's going to introduce a couple new concepts for you. As I mentioned, we are going to transition from Malala's line of reasoning to your line of reasoning in looking at Malala's line of reasoning. Once you've had a chance, as you watch that, you might want to jot some notes down to yourself, especially about the things that she brings up that are somewhat new or you hadn't thought about before. And once you have had a chance to watch that, I'm going to ask that you walk yourself through the steps outlined in this Turning the Line of Reasoning document that is attached here. I'm going to go ahead and open up mine so you can just see it open here. And I'll walk you through what you're up to with this activity today, with this exercise. So I'm going to ask you first to reread the Malala speech, and this time you're going to focus your attention on the rhetorical moves she makes. So we've read the speech for the line of reasoning. Now I want you to kind of focus on what she's doing rhetorically speaking or stylistically speaking. I would suggest noting some of those choices that you notice right on the graphic organizer from last week. And if you can, associate it with the section that you're talking about, right? And you might have already done this. So if, for example, in your evidence section for the line of reasoning, you maybe you included in as part of your evidence the anecdote about the journalist and the schoolboy. That would be a rhetorical move she's making. She's using an anecdote to further illustrate one of her claims. So we're looking for things like that, where she is using rhetorical moves or making rhetorical decisions to further support her claims that you have outlined. And because of that, I would suggest that you put those moves, that you align those moves to her claims on that graphic organizer. So you start to see how the rhetorical moves she's making contribute to her line of reasoning or her development of her message. After you've had a chance to reread it, I'm going to have you return to the thesis statement. So last week you already recorded your thesis statement that you thought Malala was making in her speech on your graphic organizer. And like I just said a couple minutes ago, that thesis statement is going to need to be part of your thesis statement, or in the very least part of your opening paragraph for a rhetorical analysis essay about her speech. So I'd like you to kind of move one step further now to create your own thesis statement for a response to this rhetorical analysis prompt that asks you to write an essay in which you examine how she creates or develops her message. So your thesis statement should really be a statement about how she creates her message. To do that, you might think about some of the rhetorical moves she's making. You might think about her line of reasoning. You might think about her modes of development that she's using. And so incorporate those in your thesis statement, or at least nod to one or two of them that sort of act as a unifying structure. Once you feel like you have articulated your own thesis statement for a response to this rhetorical analysis prompt, I'm going to ask that you use what you saw in the video earlier, that you watched earlier. Use some of the tips and information that you gleaned from that video to construct any topic sentences that you think you could use in your own line of reasoning for a rhetorical analysis essay response that responds to this prompt. She's going to talk in the video about ways to make strong topic sentences that would help you to earn that sophistication point on the AP scoring rubric. So you're going to want to especially pay attention to how she talks about creating more sophisticated topic sentences and avoiding the more basic ways that some students choose to structure those topic sentences. And you may or may not have 4 topic sentences. It kind of just depends on how you envision yourself organizing your response or organizing your own line of reasoning. And again, in the video today, she's going to talk about how you might divide Malala's speech or any text into different sections. And then also how you might look at those sections either discretely in their own body paragraphs, or you might even choose to combine a couple paragraphs of a text or of a passage in one paragraph in your line of reasoning and in your argument about the argument. So again, you're going to want to pay close attention when she's talking about how to sort of segment a passage and then how to potentially combine paragraphs or segments together in under one sort of topic sentence in your essay response. Once you have finished this sheet, I'm going to ask that you submit it to the submission slot. And if you have any questions as you're working along the way, or if you want to check in with me for any of these steps, like just your thesis statement, am I on the right track? Before you go on to, construct your topic sentences, you can certainly feel free to email me or to text me. All right, I hope you're all well and take care, and I'll see you all once again on Wednesday for some further information and developing our line of reasoning in a rhetorical analysis essay response.